What's up, Sports Wars? Fear the Beardo here, bringing you another Monday Night Football recap matchup between the AFC West rivals, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Las Vegas Raiders. Probably the most exciting primetime game of this 2022 NFL season. The Raiders actually looked competent tonight on offense. Their defense, that's another story. But their offense tonight was clicking on all cylinders. Derek Carr and Davante Adams' connection continues to improve with two very long passes to Davante Adams that resulted in touchdowns, and Josh Jacobs being the workhorse running back for the Raiders that they needed him to be. Unfortunately, the Chiefs would trump over the Raiders tonight, winning 30-29. But let's just start with this. The officiating this season has been fucking terrible in many games. Earlier on the Monday evening quarterback podcast for Sports Wars, we were discussing how yesterday's Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Falcons game had some of the worst umpiring, some of the worst officiating that we have seen all season long. Well, tonight might have taken the cake. The calls, the blatant penalties in this game that were either missed or called for no reason in this game. Specifically, a roughing the passer penalty on Derek Carr that was a clean play. Was called roughing the passer on the Chiefs defense. But then, it almost seemed like it was a makeup call, where Derek Carr was called for intentional grounding, where Derek Carr was clearly out of the pocket, and clearly he was a shuffle pass that he passed in the direction towards Josh Jacobs, and Josh Jacobs in the vicinity, the ball passed the line of scrimmage, that was then called intentional grounding. Completely egregious, terrible calls all night long. But going back to the gameplay, the Raiders actually were performing on all cylinders on offense. Derek Carr and Davante Adams looked very good. Josh Jacobs looked very good. And the Raiders were in position to tie the game, potentially win the game, going for a 2-point conversion down by 1, 29-30. And someone consider this 2-point conversion a good score. But on the field, the refs decided that the 2-point conversion was incomplete, that Josh Jacobs was short of the goal line, and we're going to show you the footage right here of the play. You tell us what you think of this play. Was Josh Jacobs in, or was Josh Jacobs short?
And where's the ball? Chris Jones made the stop. And the call is short.
To me, Josh Jacobs looks like the ball crossed the plane before his knees touched the ground, and this would be the deciding factor of the game. The Raiders were dominating the Chiefs in the first half. The Chiefs would make some key halftime adjustments and come out in the second half balling out. Patrick Mahomes with 4 touchdowns on the night, all 4 of them of which were to tight end Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce had a hell of a game tonight. The Chiefs came out in the second half and balled out and would take this game against their AFC West rivals 30-29, as we're going to take a look at some of the stats right here. Starting with the Raiders, you can see Derek Carr, 19 for 30 with 241 yards passing, 2 TDs, 0 interceptions, and he was sacked twice for a loss of 18 yards. Patrick Mahomes, 29 of 43 for 292 yards, nearly 300 yards passing. Those 4 TDs, 0 interceptions, sacked 3 times for a loss of 27 yards. Those 4 TDs, like I said, would all go to Travis Kelce. McKinnon and Edwards-Helaire, great night rushing. Edwards-Helaire had very impressive runs on plays, on downs where it mattered. Same thing with Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, 21 carries for 154 yards and a rushing TD. Josh Jacobs, like I said, a workhorse tonight. Davante Adams had 3 receptions on the night for 124 yards. Out of those 3 receptions, 2 of them resulted in very long TDs. Also, Hunter Renfrow with 4 receptions, 25 yards, but similar to Edwards-Helaire for the Chiefs, Renfrow made those receptions in key downs where the Raiders really needed it. So to wrap things up, as far as the gameplay went between these two teams, a very solid, very exciting, electric game, very tense game down to the very last seconds where the Raiders were driving at the end of the game but couldn't quite get it done. Chiefs take it 30-29. Some very egregious calls from the referees, that roughing the passer against the Kansas City Chiefs on Derek Carr, and then almost seemed like a makeup penalty, intentional grounding that they called on Derek Carr, where Derek Carr was clearly out of the pocket, clearly shuffled past the ball, past the line of scrimmage towards Josh Jacobs' direction, that they called intentional grounding. The officiating this season has been terrible. The NFL needs to do something about this. They need to hold these referees more accountable. A loss of pay, a loss of calling games, take away postseason games from these referees that are blowing calls, completely fumbling the bag as far as throwing penalties or missing blatant calls. It's been awful this season, and the NFL needs to do something about it. But anyways, that's all I have for this one. What did you guys think about this game? Did you watch it? Let me know down in the comment section below. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Share it with a friend who you think would enjoy it. Subscribe to this channel if you're new, and we'll talk to you again soon.